Yes, this address is directly to candidate Peter Obi in the 2023 presidential election, which he won. And we've seen all of what's been going on that looks like a shifting of goalposts, pushing and pulling. NINAS is saying to candidate Peter Obi, the mandate the number of people that went out to risk their lives to vote even when they were being threatened with death, some of who died. That mandate is no longer your property to trade as you deem fit, to treat as you deem fit. It belongs to those multitudes that defied all odds at the risk of their lives across the length and breadth of Nigeria and even in the diaspora. They own it. You are only the custodian in trust. It was because they trusted you for whatever you told them, because we told everybody that leadership, change of driver is not the answer to knocked engine, which you already said before everybody else, that the engine of the Nigerian state is knocked and that the search should be for new engine, new vehicle, not new driver, because what can the new driver do with a vehicle with knocked engine? Yes, you talked about, you use brain box, but the one the public can understand is a knocked engine in a vehicle. And so, yes, you dragged us to election because you had advertised that leadership, a new driver will take the obedient movement and the rest of the populace to El Dorado. It has become difficult because we told everybody that if we went to this election, it will end in fiasco. We're on that bridge. We're on top of that bridge of that 2023 election, where we said we were waiting for everybody. What are the options? And what should we begin to do? Because if we listen, we can still work out something that could now go towards fixing that engine, replacing that vehicle that has become unusable. The vehicle of Nigeria, unitary Nigeria, as framed by that 1999 constitution, is unusable. All of those trapped in that vehicle are in danger, very serious danger. Even the UN, spoke about it through its rapporteur Agnes Calamat. Let those who listen go and check, even on Google. Click Agnes Calamat. You will see where the UN said that the Nigeria's constitution is like pressure cooker for injustice, and that is why blood is flowing all over the place, and that Nigeria under that constitution is a threat to the global security because of the things that could go wrong if Nigeria snaps, and that Nigeria is bound to snap under this constitution that stokes, just mounts pressure on every side. Niger Delta is crying resource control. Killings are taking place there. Middle Belt is being invaded. It is that constitution. All of those who say they are fed up with the union, Biafra here, Oduwa Republic there, it is that constitution that hijacked their sovereignty and seized their autonomy that they are protesting, that they reject. And so, that is the constitution, that is the vehicle you have stepped forward to drive, convincing this multitude that with you in the steering, they will get to Banana Land. In that difficulty, what are the options? They will say to you, because you are Igbo, they are trying to avoid swearing you in as president. That's the reason for all this rigmarole in tribunal. Otherwise, what went to the election petition could be resolved in less than 2 weeks. Transmit 2 questions to the Supreme Court. If I was counsel in the matter, if we were looking for solution to that problem, we only need to transmit 2 questions to the tribunal, to the Supreme Court. Once we get the answers, everything left to be resolved can be done in 1 week. What are those 2 questions? Is 25% a mandate of FCT votes a mandatory requirement to be declared the president-elect? If the answer is yes, one candidate is out because the election, the results are all over the place. He didn't get it. And the first answer they put forward was that it was not required. We saw Keyamo all over the place. We saw Liar Mohammed running his mouth in Washington. That Abuja is just another state. Just because Abuja, the Federal Capital Administration, Federal Capital Territory Administration went to court to get an order to be able to raise revenue to provide for residents of the FCT like every other state. That was the only thing that went to court. That has now become that Abuja is another state because the court agreed with them that they could, for the purpose of the Federal Capital Territory that have residents, plenty of residents, that the Federal Capital Territory Administration could exercise all the powers that states would have exercised in raising revenue within their jurisdiction. That was the only thing that the FCT had in common, got in common with the states. But that was what the APC and their candidate and all kinds of half-baked spokesmen, lawyers inclusive, went to tell the international community that Abuja is now just like another. So if there's a constitutional requirement of 25%, that Abuja is just one of them, that they got more than 24 states, and therefore, since just modeling and obfuscating, trying to obfuscate it. Unfortunately for them, prior to their arrival in Washington, those who have been paying attention on the global circuit to what's been going on in Nigeria, they had got to ask us, and we told them precisely. Some of you will have seen the video already. Look at the title, where the U.S. policy, a policy think tank was looking at what has happened with it just the week after the vote. We told them what the Constitution says. 3 requirements: overall highest number of votes, 25% in 2/3 of the states, that's 24 states, and 25% of Federal Capital Territory. The whole world already knew, starting with Washington, that was what was contained. Before Lai Mohammed and Professor Keyamo turned up with a number of other lawyers joined them. All the TV houses, Arise TV, AIT, channels, everybody. So what are we saying? Peter Obi won that election. We also talked to them about the question of electronic transmission of results real time. That is, what happened at the polling unit must be captured into the server without human interference, which Yakubu went to Chatham House to assure the whole world that they've now found an answer to rigging, and that they will keep to the other fellow called the Keyamo, all these Festus people. Maybe people should stop giving their children the name Festus. The other one is Festus Okoye of INEC. Went around lying to the whole world about what they were going to do. And so here we are on election day. They jettisoned their own rules, forgetting that under the law, if you made a guideline, if you made a regulation under an act, the moment you make it public and the public adjusts themselves to that regulation, it becomes a part of that law, so that you who made the regulation cannot depart from it. Because INEC initially thought that, is it not our rule? Is it not our guideline? If we see something that they pass through some kind of situation, we can abandon it and jettison it and do whatever can solve the problem in our imagination. That was what INEC thought. The APC and their candidate thought that if they obfuscate the issue of 25% requirement, just do some kind of abracadabra, everybody will be convinced to look away, in order to shut down the people that will have come saying no. The candidate on the day was being sworn in, say, oh, I've removed subsidy. That was a strategy to shut down the people that will have gone to say no. And it worked like magic, because the very day it became, in less than 2-3 days, it became impossible for anybody to mobilize it, because life turned upside down for everybody everywhere. Okay, you've played the card. The people have not come out to the street. Their candidate, you, the P2B, they are the one, whose mandate they want to come to fight. You say they should wait, you go to court. You've gone to court now, everything has gone well in court. But it has come to where it has emerged that you won the election. A choice will now have to be made. Whether you will go with them towards a rerun, instead of insisting on the mandate. NINAS already said no rerun for the same reasons we say let's leave the election and go and solve the constitution that is the problem. 2023, 3 years since 2020 that we rolled out the force majeure. For those same reasons contained in the force majeure, added to all of what we saw happen with the election, in which the centralized control of INEC was risen for what we have seen. We don't know what will happen at the Tribunal, the Court of Appeal, Supreme Court. But before matters finalized there, we are at liberty to report what we are seeing, that the centralized control of everything is raising things outside that same constitution is responsible. And so our communication to candidate P2B this 20th day of July in 2023 is that we will continue our campaign of no further national elections on the basis of that constitution. And anybody, any party that thinks he can go to get power under that constitution in another election to be organized should just perish the thought, because the fight will be wider than who wins the election. The fight will now include whether we go to election at all, because those who say we can't go to any further election under this constitution are going to be there in the midst of all the other contestants for election. It will be going to renew the life of the monster or taking down the life of the monster. That will be the main issue. And so we are saying, you already created havoc. P2B, you already created havoc by declaring that constitution is not the problem. So all of those, go to YouTube today and listen to the broadcast titled Witnesses to the Fraud of 1999. So you can see all the people who are telling the global community that the constitution of Nigeria is the problem. The UN and its rapporteur mission came to that conclusion in 2019, that the constitution of Nigeria is the pressure cooker that has turned Nigeria into a killing field, a bloodbath. So you said in the beginning of your campaign that constitution is not the reason we are where we are. That is leadership. Leadership in which your legs and hands are tied to lead who to where in a vehicle that with a knocked engine. 68 items on the exclusive list. What are you going to do about arms and ammunition that remains in the hands of people who owe it a duty of faith to kill other people? What are you going to do about my inability? I can't do my infrastructure because my economic assets are detained by that exclusive list. The owners of the economic assets do not have access to those economic assets, whether it's oil and gas in the Niger Delta, or is the port in Lagos, or is the port of Calabar and Port Harcourt, or the bitumen in Ondo, or the limestone in Benue, or the gold in Ogbomoso and elsewhere. or even the power to generate electricity. The amendment that now say, oh, provided you stay in your corner, you can generate small electricity. Who will transmit the electricity? Where's the source material? If I need gas to run my turbine to generate my electricity, I will have to wait for exclusive list for federal government to allocate gas to me. So if they don't want electricity for me, they won't give gas. If you think I'm exaggerating, go and ask Baton Naji. Go and ask Baton Naji on what has happened to geometric power plant in Aba concerning gas. Because they think everybody is blind. And so we are saying that sacrilege of declaring that constitution is not the problem, Peter Obi must go back to the podium and announce it to the international community that the constitution of Nigeria is the principal problem. There's another thing that has to be corrected. All this before the question of mandate can be resolved in a manner that will stay. You declared in our house, but there was no ethnic problem. That is just ethnic and religious. That is just poverty in which once good leadership emerges, everything. If anybody wants to pretend that there's no ethnic problem in Nigeria, then NINAS will tell that person that there is very serious ethnic problem. The Fulani conquest agenda is an ethnic problem. It is within the context of that conquest agenda that they are slaughtering people in the Middle Belt. Anybody who wants to pretend can pretend. But when you go back to get on YouTube and see what Ahmadu Bello said, make a research and see what Ahmadu Bello said in the week of independence in 1960 about Nigeria being the estate of their great-grandfather. Look at the role he assigned to everybody, the owners of the estate, the Middle Belt that will be willing tools in their hands, the Gowons and Danjumas of this world, Jeremiah Husseinis of this world, and the South has conquered territory. Look at this quote again from Ahmadu Bello and imagine, place people. Look at what has happened in Nigeria from 1966 to 1999 and see who were the people that went to kill the people in the East, the 3.5 million that got killed in the East. See who helped them impose that constitution in 1979, Olusegun Obasanjo. So you have the Murtala Mohammeds of Kano, the Buharis of Daura and Katsina. You come down to Middle Belt, you then see the Gowon, the Danjuma, the Hussaini, the Garba, Joseph, Namven. Then you come down south to see the head slave, Olusegun Obasanjo, presiding over 1979 imposition and 1999 reincarnation. I'm telling you the story of the 1999 constitution as driven by the ethnic agenda. If there's no ethnic agenda, of course, you can see the Fulani killing people all over the place. There are no Ogoni people beheading people in Kano. It is Fulani killing in Middle Belt, killing in South, killing in Yoruba land. Or are there Ijo fishermen beheading people in Kwara? So there's an ethnic problem. The Muslims, if you say there's no religious problem, what is the offense of the Muslims of Zamfara and Kebbi, Katsina, who are not Fulani? Are they not being killed? It is on account of the fact that they are not Fulani. So the religious thing is a political tool being used to disguise the ethnic agenda. But as for whether there's religious, there's also religious. They wear the garment of religion, concealing the ethnic agenda, and then you say there's no ethnic, there's no religious. What was the reason Igbos were killed in Lagos on the day of election? Is it not the ethnic question right there? And so, in addition to going to announce that there's ethnic question, there's religious question, but the constitution should have resolved all of this. But you said that the constitution is not the problem. And so, we are saying that in order to come to the side of the people, quite apart from rejecting the journey to rerun. If you stand by your mandate, we are closer to finding a solution, provided you go up front before it becomes a bigger issue. You must commit to transitioning to solve this problem. It doesn't matter who is in government house. If it's you, good luck. If it's anybody else, good luck. But primary thing, we must go now to that transition. Government can only be nominal governance. And the Constitution must be acknowledged for what those 5 points of proposition in the constitutional force majeure. We must go and acquaint ourselves with how it will work, so we can begin to prepare ourselves for how to relate with the entire situation. But personally, you have to, because you said it. The other candidates did not say that the Constitution was not the problem. They only said they will go to National Assembly, knowing fully well that the National Assembly mandate does not extend to constitution making. Whatever the National Assembly is doing around constitution amendment, restructuring that will go to National Assembly to be done, is being done in defiance of our sovereignty. Is being done in confiscation of our sovereignty, in defiance of our sovereignty. Is being done, is treasonable, because you put our signature on a document we did not make, and you stand on that falsehood to say you are now the one to do for us what we exclusively own the right to do for ourselves. Otherwise, tell me your understanding of the section 14.2a that says that sovereignty belongs to the people, from whom government through this constitution derives all its powers. Look, read it again. Sovereignty belongs to the peoples of Nigeria, from whom government through this constitution derives all its powers and authority. And you go to the preamble to say, oh, the people have solemnly resolved to live together. We the people. Who? Where? And that we wrote the constitution. 3 false claims. The way the people must be the constituent components of Nigeria, the ethnic, the owners of the sovereignties. Submitting their sovereignty must be their decision, not the one you put by decree. Writing the constitution must be the product of having identified themselves on their ancestral spaces and having agreed to submit those their sovereign spaces into a union. Then they go to reduce all of how they want to do it into an article of association called constitution. In that order. We've not done any of this. Our democracy, which democracy? Your democracy does not pass any of these 3 legs of tests. Government of the people, by the people, for the people. For those who do not understand, government of the people means that the people decide the ultimate rule. That's the constitution right there. By the people means only your vote can bring people to government house. Tell me which government have been brought by vote since 1999, at least. Let's not go back to 1960. Because if we go back, we still have the same answers. None. To date. For the people means that those who wield power do so to the benefit of the people. You can see the life of the people you are governing. Your benefits are growing in leaps and bounds. People sit in National Assembly in Abuja. Now you got an extra 70 billion for palliative. It will go on average of 140 million naira for one person. But it is 8,000 naira for one family. And you think it's sustainable. But it is that constitution that has made it possible that people will sit in the refuge camp of regional renegades, which Abuja has become. Refuge camp for regional renegades. That's what Abuja has become. Otherwise, tell me who among those who are gathered in that National Assembly can go to his village now and walk on the street happily without hungry people gathering him to eat him for food. And so, candidate Peter Obi, these wrongdoings were committed before the February 25. Somehow, as it pleased God, majority of those who were thinking that leadership is the answer, not the constitution, they already voted. There's nothing anybody can do about that. Their mandate cannot be tossed aside, cannot be jettisoned by you. You stand with that mandate, Then we go to the question of transition now. Nothing will be accepted outside that transition that must happen before any other business. I think if we pay attention, we will find answers sooner than later. Abiola was a Muslim, but it was the ethnic question that swallowed his life. We hope we don't go back to that cycle of mandate, mandate that was disputed, liberty that was curtailed, life that was cut short. That was Abiola's story. Ethnic, religious. Let's solve the equation and see whether we're not back on that trajectory. But we have a chance, because God is always a God of second chance. We have a second chance to do differently from what we did ahead of February 2023. We stop here.